Now, we're going to move on over to another segment here when it comes to junk removal, and we're going to talk to or listen to Matthew. We're going to listen to Matthew Vick and the JoJo. They're getting ready for the Junk Expo. I think is happening in a few weeks now up here, up there in Northern California. And I did talk to the wife about going out there, but we have made other plans. And of course, during this time of year is the going into the holiday season, and I like to make a trip to go home to Chicago to see the family up there, visit dad for his birthday, see the family for the holidays, get to see my nieces and nephews. I only get to see them like once a year. And then we have a couple of more Disney trips that we're going to be taking. So we're going to actually be in Anaheim, California, Disneyland, maybe a few weeks after the Junk Expo. So, we have our own plans and things, but let's get in here to the Matthew Vick and the JoJo and see what they got going for us when they're talking to one of their people who's going to be at the Junk Expo.
Now, welcome back to the channel, all my hustlers and grinders and go-getters, the ones that wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, I'm going to get this money. We are 15 days away from the Junk Expo, and I'm excited.
Yep, and I call it the Super Bowl of junk removal. It's great. Everybody comes together and they get to learn new strategies for their business. They get to leave motivated, and often you meet new people, new friends, new buddies that you can contact throughout the year and ask questions. And so friendships don't end at the Junk Expo, they just begin.
So it's all about networking, going out there and networking and building relationships with people, sharing information and all of that type of stuff. That's why we out here in this space. These two people, Matthew Vick especially, is the reason why I went out here into the junk removal space. When I was looking for a reason, or not a reason, but I was looking for a way to use a truck to make money. Of course, everybody suggested, moving people. And I was like, I don't want to do that with a pickup truck. I would need something else. And I'm not really interested in moving people's precious items. Not really interested in that. So I needed something that fit who I am as a person a little bit more, a little bit better. And junk removal was definitely that fit for me. So when I came across Matthew Vick and he was saying how he was using his Toyota Tundra at the time to get started with junk removal, that is what sparked the idea of, I was like, man, I can go ahead and use a truck to go ahead and move trash and see if we can't get paid that way. And it has worked out for us thus far.
We got someone that is an OG in the trash business. He's been in the trash business for 17 years. He is the OG garbage guy, Robert Allen, out of Arizona. And like I was telling the JoJo and Robert earlier, I would never even think about starting a trash business in Arizona. It's too damn hot for me.
It is hot in Arizona, but there's a lot of people.
It's hot here in El Paso too, but it ain't nothing like Arizona. Arizona heat and that Las Vegas heat, that's two different types of heat. Like here in El Paso, I guess it's monsoon season. It rained all night and thunderstormed. It sounded like Florida all night last night. So Sunday, Monday, and then into Tuesday morning, all it did was rain. That's it. It felt like Florida. I told my wife, I said, this desert is weird. This is a weird desert. But yeah, Arizona, that's different.
People out there doing it.
So let's introduce my buddy Robert. What is going on? How you doing?
Very good, man. JoJo, good to be with you. Thanks for the invite.
Right.
And yes, it's below 100 degrees today in Arizona, so we're living large.
Right on.
Well, yeah, we're excited to have you as a guest tonight because people can get a little insight on learning a bit about you because you are one of the speakers at the Junk Expo.
I'm looking forward to that. It's I missed last year, and I'm very excited to be there this year. The events like this help bring people together, and we motivate each other. And when people come together and ask questions and share content and information, it shortens the learning curve for everybody. I love that. So I appreciate both of you for the foresight to put that together. because it benefits you obviously, but everyone else who comes.
So for people that don't know, who is Robert Allen?
Sure. So Robert with garbageguy.com. Did not expect to end up in the junk space. My story goes back.
I don't think any of us ended up expecting to end up in the junk space, but the junk space chose us. We didn't choose it.
Well, I've been cleaning things up since I was a little kid, but first jobs for me were between 10 and 12 years old, mowing neighbors' lawns, cleaning up landscape, doing things in the yard, things of that sort. But always gravitated towards the immediately visible results of a job well done. You see a mess, you fix it, and it looks good, and I like that. I went to school, studied business, studied languages, did other things, ended up in technology for a long time. I worked for universities, some software companies, big ones and small ones. WordPerfect, if you know who that is, it will date you, but WordPerfect was a competitor to Microsoft Word.
I remember using WordPerfect in grade school. We had to go to the computer lab, and then I think they got computers in the classroom now. Like each student, and some schools have a computer at the student's desk, or they have to carry around their own computer or something like that now. But back in my day, we had to go to the computer lab in order to learn how to type and use the computer. And I believe maybe the school library may have had a computer in it as well. But yeah, I remember using that program along with Microsoft Word. But sometimes we had to use that program that he just mentioned.
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I worked for them and for Novell and Computer Associates, and saw my trajectory on a ladder of climbing that took me away from family in terms of time on the road, time out of the home, and I didn't like that as much. And so I started looking for an opportunity to make a transition, and this was early 2000. So 2004, 2005, I was looking to get out of technology or into something different, and thought at the time in Arizona, the housing market.
That's crazy. He's looking to get out of technology at the time where a lot of us was looking to get into computer science. Now I didn't take that route. I decided to go into business. I decided to drop out of school and then go into just working and doing it that way. And now I'm here, and that's how I found junk removal. Oh, that's my accountant again. That's how I found junk removal, or junk removal found me. But anyway, yeah, a lot of us.
It was crazy. Thought, well, maybe we'll do what everybody else is doing. We'll just flip houses. But the market was a little too crazy, and the appreciation was about 10% a month for a little bit, where people would put a house on the market for, to use a rough number, 100 grand. And you'd have 15, 20, 30 people lining up saying, I'll pay 110, 115, 125. It was like an auction for houses. And
that was when he said that was 04 for him, going into housing. So that was 4 years before the housing bubble, 4 years before 08, when I was at Disney. So I was in school, should have been went into computer sciences and all that type of stuff, computer engineering programming, that type. It could have been sitting on a bag right now, because I had a client who moved down here from Seattle who was in the computer development, software world, all that type of stuff. And he retired, but because and came down here to start his own business. I said this in the vlog before. Came down here, started his own business. Things didn't pick up the way that he wanted to, and then now he moved back up there. But yeah, a lot of things ebb and flow. And he's talking about 04, going into real estate, and it being a boom and all of that. I can see it being that. Yeah. And then, but then the crash happened in 08.
So we called a realtor who knew a little bit about that space and said, show us some fixer-uppers, something's got potential to flip and that we could do something with. And so we went out for a few days and looked at these properties, and I was shocked, because some of them were like hoarding houses, others were like revenge houses where they'd torn out the wires in the pipe and left food in the microwave. And they were just terrible. They were like a garbage dump, and it was for sale. And I asked the realtor, and I said, you got to be kidding me, they're selling it like this? And he said, yeah, the landlord's out of state, he doesn't care, He just says, sell it. I'm not putting any more money into it because the market's appreciating. So we did the math. It did not make sense to buy a property for 20 grand above market value and then put 20 grand into fixing it. But the idea that stuck with me from that day out with a real estate agent was somebody has to clean these up. And so garbageguy.com was available. I bought a dump trailer, started designing logos online, and said, hey, let's try this. And so we jumped in with both feet. My wife was very supportive. God's a big part of my journey, and prayer was a definite part of that decision.
I mean, we all go into business on a hope and a prayer, especially you tell your wife, or in my case, your fiance, future wife, that you're not going back into the corporate world. You're not going to be going back into the corporate operational of situation of things. You're going to have to figure it out, or I'm going to figure out how to bring money into the family, into the household myself. And telling your wife that you are now going to turn into a trash man, a junk man. Yeah, a lot of people might not be, supportive of that, but those of us who do that and we have that drive and determination, our wives are very supportive,
as well as trying to figure out how to make it work.